Hey Liverpool fans, have you seen the latest release? At Anfield Index, we've teamed up with Liverpool FC to announce that the brand new 24-25 LFC Nike home kit and anthem jacket are out now, and they're hotter than ever. The brand new kit pays homage to the legendary Rome 1984 side, featuring sleek pinstripe detailing that brings a touch of history to our modern game. Whether you're cheering from the Kop or watching from home, you'll feel the spirit of the Reds coursing through every stitch. The best part? You can grab yours today. The new kit and training range are available in official stores, online, and through the LFC store app. Don't wait, order now and be ready to show your Liverpool pride in style. Get your hands on the new 24-25 LFC home kit and anthem jacket today. Let's make this season unforgettable. You'll never walk alone.
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
Another day is here, and you're ready for it. What to wear? Check. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Check. Planning for what's next and how to save for it? That's where Bank of America can help. For your financial to-dos, Bank of America has experts ready to help get you closer to your goals. Get started at one of our local financial centers or 24/7 in our mobile banking app. Find a location near you at bankofamerica.com/talktous. What would you like the power to do? Mobile banking requires downloading the app and is only available for select devices. Message and data rates may apply. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Scouser Tommies on Anfield Index. I'm Jim Boardman and I'm with Jay Reid, and the season's over, Klopp's reign's over. We've got that horrendous time now called summer, as in, as a football fan, it's horrendous usually because the back pages of the papers start talking about tennis and cricket and things instead of footy, and it all goes a bit boring, doesn't it, when you're a football fan? But I don't know, maybe like Klopp, we need a rest, a little bit of a rest. We don't quite need that intensity that we've had. We'll see. The thing is, though, this being Liverpool, I'm sure as the summer goes on, there'll be plenty for us to talk about because it's never generally that quiet with Liverpool, is it? And since we last did a show, Liverpool have had 2 games, and it's certainly not been quiet. The Villa game, 3-3, we'll probably gloss over that. But Sunday, the Wolves game, last game of the season, I'm not sure how much of the game we want to even talk about. But the thing is, at least when we start to look back in the history books, some people say Klopp's last game, it's going to be a Liverpool win. Shame there wasn't a goal in front of the Kop just to finish here off. But, Liverpool win. But I think the thing that sticks in mind for most of us is going to be sort of what happened afterwards, which was basically Jurgen saying goodbye the way Jurgen does. You could feel, I don't know about you, Jay, but as I was watching those sort of almost, well, it's kind of pre-scripted. Peter McDowell had his iPhone in his hand trying to read his things out for everyone. I just felt like Klopp was just desperate to break out of all that and just do it his own way. And, short of him like finding a guitar or something and serenading everyone, off he went with the Arne Slot song, basically announcing the new manager. I think, there's so much we're going to miss about Klopp, but I think, and that's, the football and all the rest of it. But my God, as a person, I think we're really going to miss this guy because he's just been, we've had so many laughs and everything with him, haven't we, as well?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned on the post-match Raw, which was not the usual prototype Raw with yourself, Dave and Trev from the weekend, and it was not a normal game, and as a regular match-going fan, there was just a sense of let's just get to the final whistle, especially once we got ourselves in the lead at the weekend. You know, a couple of goals up by half time. You think it would have been nice, as you say, to round it off with, you know, a goal at the top end. It would have been nice, maybe, you know, if someone like Mo Salah, not necessarily saying anything is going to happen with Mo Salah's future, that is to be somewhat decided and whatever. But, you know, someone who's contributed so much to the Jurgen Klopp reign at Liverpool, it would have been nice for him to sign off after, you know, a new player in Alexis McAllister this season getting the opener, and then, you know, the academy graduate who's probably excelled more than anyone could have even predicted at the start of the season. Probably most people wouldn't have even known who Jarell Kwanzaa was. And, you know, it just sort of would have been a nice full circle and capture of, you know, the players who we had on show on the day. But yeah, I think it was very much, you know, let's get the 90 done, and then we see what comes afterwards. And I think, you know, the whole proceedings afterwards was handled in such a manner of class and dignity that actually, like, I was expecting, you know, maybe a tear or two, and I'm sure, you know, the 60-odd thousand in the presence of Anfield on the weekend, as many as the millions at home watching, probably expected to get much more emotional than what he did. And I think that was down to Klopp himself, not getting highly too emotional during his speech and his efforts after the game, but also, you know, the way that the man that he is, you know, it's not all about Jurgen Klopp, it's about everybody else involved in the whole experience of what Jurgen Klopp brought to Liverpool. And that's just a mark and a measure of the man himself, that he wanted to put others in the limelight as much as himself, if not before himself, and take himself into the darkness as such. But, you know, he held it together and give praise where it was rightly due to so many other people. And I think, you know, the way only Jurgen Klopp could do with announcing the guy who was coming in to take the hot seat, even though, you know, it was the biggest kept secret in football. I'll be honest, from where I was stood in the ground, everyone around us was singing Jurgen Klopp, la 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 la, because that's what we've been singing for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
And only then did someone near to us said, he said Arne Slot then, and we were like, nah. But obviously the joy of being in the ground is you don't get replays, you don't know what was said until we got out the ground later on.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it was gone viral, and we were like, no, actually he did say it. And we were like, well, you know, it was just perfect from Klopp, and there's probably no one else in the world of football who would, you know, sort of galvanise the fan base to say, look, I'm off, but this is the fella coming in. Let's give him the biggest welcome that you're giving me, as big as a goodbye. And, you know, that's Klopp, that's Liverpool, and that was just perfect for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the stats, actually. I mean, I don't know. This is off Google, so I don't know where they get them from. I'll assume that they're right. But, I mean, the stats just from that game, it kind of feels like it's a kind of like a cameo of what we've had from Klopp all the years. Like shots 36-4, shots on target 14-3, possession 68-32, passes 621 to 303, accuracy 91% to 76%. It's just, I suppose as well, all that shots on target and then goals just 2 is another thing as well. Maybe if we're going to be critical that at times we've had a lot in games, we should have scored a lot more than we could have done in games. But I think it just shows that that's been the kind of things we've seen a lot under Klopp, is just mad games like that where we've just dominated. And I know Wolves lost a player, and I'll be honest, when I first saw it in real time, I thought it probably is a booking, it's probably nothing more. But then when you see it from another angle and stuff, you can see it was a red. Interestingly, though, when the guy went to the screen, we couldn't see what was on the screen when you watched the replays back, but when he went to the screen, it wasn't like on a still image of a foot being bent back the way that it was when, well, of a shin having studs on it, if you like, the way it was when Curtis got sent off against Spurs. But, you know, I think the good thing about that game as well was the ref hardly got noticed. I mean, even though he had his moment in front of the screen, I think it was fair enough that he missed it as a red, because, you know, as I said, if you're watching it in real time, you can't always be sure. and VAR did its job, ironically, with the team that wants to get rid of it in the summer, but we'll see. And as you say as well, the goal...
I was actually expecting Wolves to have a huge vocal response to the decisions at the weekend, because I think a couple not necessarily went against them because they were the right decisions.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
But, they were still, on the receiving end of VAR not going in their favour.
Yeah, if there was no VAR, that guy would have had a yellow and the game would have gone with them having 11 men. But VAR actually did the right thing, so you can be annoyed with it, but only because it's sort of caught you out, hasn't it? So,
yeah.
But
I think with Wolves, they're probably fighting a lone fight in terms of, they're not the only club that's been hard done to by VAR. Like, we know more than anyone how badly VAR can be, and without delving into that massive rabbit hole, I think they're right in what they're saying. It's not necessarily not fit for purpose. It's the people using it who aren't fit for purpose, and maybe if they had approached the matter in a different angle and went for a sort of a different way of using their fight, I think they might have had more people on board, because I think what the sad reality is, the clubs are going to vote against them because they want to keep it, because there is positives to it. It's not necessarily VAR that is the problem, that it's the way it's implemented and the fine-tuning that needs to be done. As we've seen with offsides in the European competitions this season compared to, the blurred lines of wonky camera angles that we get in the Premier League. But yeah, I thought it was highly ironic, really, that it was a couple of decisions that went against that team, notably, but they were, as you say, the correct ones. And you mentioned the referee. I actually don't know who it was. I think it was Chris Kavanagh, judging by where I could see. Because, we had to have all of them, didn't we, before we could possibly, say goodbye to Jurgen Klopp. All of Greater Manchester's FA's alumni.
Yeah, there would have been a checklist up at PGM, on the fridge at PGMOL, just making sure, tick your name off, make sure you've had your last chance against him.
Yeah, well, thankfully, he wasn't to be noticed for many of the reasons that we have this season, which I suppose we can give a small amount of credit to the man in the black in the middle.
Yeah, and I think, there was a whole feeling about it being a nice occasion. There's loads of the Wolves fans stayed on at the end as well, didn't they, to see Klopp saying goodbye. Like, everybody wanted to shake hands with him. The St. John's ambulance guys were coming over, and girls or wherever they were. The other St. John's ambulance people were coming over, shaking his hands. Loads of people shaking his hand. It felt like every single member of the opposition staff shook his hands before and afterwards. And I think that says a lot about him. We sort of went over it a little bit on Raw, but there's this kind of like Twitter, probably Facebook, probably Instagram, this kind of hate that you get on those platforms from people who are just looking for something to hate. And I've said before, like, some of the people who are nasty about Hillsborough are probably racist as well, like really racist, but don't want to be racist in public in case they get in trouble and they think they can get away with doing it on Hillsborough. They're just nasty people who want to have a go at others for anything they can, just because that's the way they are. And I think, a lot of the sort of Klopp haters are that kind of people. They just decide to hate Klopp because you said it, I've said it. Loads of people that I know who aren't Liverpool fans like Klopp. They have nice things to say. mean, we've said it before, Evertonians have to sort of be in numbers. They can't admit to liking him if there's more than one of them at a time. They've got to sort of hate everything red, which is fair enough. It's how they've always been. But even they quietly admire him. And I think that's the thing throughout football. There's a few people who want to have a go at him, a few people who want to complain, but they're always like the miserable people that you...
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
The people you want to avoid being sat next to at any time, if it was a work do or something, you wouldn't want to be sat next to them at the table or on the coach going somewhere or something like that. You'd want to avoid them. Just the complete and utter miseries, because most people seem to love him and like him. I think I even said on Raw, one of my daughter's friends sort of messaged her when Klopp said he was leaving, said, basically, are you okay? Because it's a shock to people that when he left him, I think he's going to be missed in the game. And I think that, I wonder if that played a part with the refereeing that we got as games went on. He did seem to be that they'd eased off a little bit. And I don't know if you saw, there was a thing in The Athletic where they were sort of doing a load of pieces about Klopp leaving. And there was one where they quite clearly set out to kind of do, and I've not read the other pieces, I'm guessing the other pieces were generally positive, but it was as if they tried to do a kind of balanced piece where people were going to have a moan at him. And the two people they wanted to find were, or the two types of people were, ex-managers he's had run-ins with, or maybe managers who don't have the same philosophy of football as him, and referees. And they struggled to find anyone to have a go at him. I know they got Pulis, I know they got Dyche. I mean, even Tony Pulis was like, they were sort of picking up incidents, and he was like, I'd have been the same, I'd have done that, I would have done that. I get why he does it. All the way through, it was just complete praise for Klopp. And I don't know if the Athletic had set out to kind of do him down in that one piece, but it felt like they had, and it felt like they'd failed. And I think that says a lot about him and why I like him so much as a person and why I feel he's so right for us, because in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter what other fans of other clubs think, but I'm quite happy when I know that we're doing the right thing. We're decent people, if you like, I like our players to be honest players and stuff. I mean, I loved Luis Suarez, but yeah, there were times when it was a pain having to kind of defend him for certain things, wasn't there? You know what I mean? And I don't like having to do that. It drives, all the time. Yeah. With Klopp, there's no need to defend him. Anyone who's having a go at him's just been a bit of a div, aren't they, usually?
I think there was a chance, where, there was so many, I will say actually, there was so many good chants and songs from the weekend. We went through the whole repertoire of the songbook of players who featured for Jurgen Klopp, and playing.
Bobby's one was really loud for some reason.
There was Bob. He was obviously you got to mention.
Yeah.
We even rolled it back a few years before that, and not like Lewis Garcia out there and the best midfield in the world song and stuff. And the Mane song and Wijnaldum, Henderson, all players who featured for significant roles through Jurgen Klopp's tenure. All got to mention, but as the game wore on and the songbook was starting to wear thin, there was some classics that come out, and obviously only the Scouts with instead of the famous Cop Heights, due to the weather on the day, it was we were the sweaty Cop Heights, which was ridiculously hot up there. And then, later on when Klopp was speaking, it was like Jurgen Klopp as a Scouser. And that genuinely is what he is, because he encapsulates so much of what it means to be a Scouser. And he's got the wit, but he's also got that gnarly sort of personality where, if you cross him, you'll feel the full force of his wrath. He's not just going to stand there and let the piss be took out of him. But at the same time, again, he's the type of person who cares for others around him, who, will give him the love back, because that's just how it works. if someone needs an arm around the shoulder, you give them the arm around the shoulder, because the chances are, if you needed one round yours, then they'd do the same back. And he encapsulates what it meant to be a Scouser. And that's not always exclusive to just being a Liverpool fan, because there is blue noses who are of the same persuasion, and they're just as nice as everyone else, as much as the team they support aren't. But it's exactly what we needed in the manager. Like in where we were as a club, like we needed that arm around the shoulder. We needed someone to sort of say, "Come on, it's not that bad." Like if we pull ourselves together, we'll knuckle down and put a bit of hard graft in, and it'll soon be all right. And like we'll reap the rewards of our hard work, and that's exactly what Klopp did, and what we done as a club over this tenureship is, we knuckled down, we fought hard, and sometimes we were just up against an immovable object that had powers bigger than anything else that we just couldn't manage to shift. And again, resonates so much with the city and the club. That sometimes there's these powers way out of our control that we sometimes just can't topple, but we'll give it a damn good go, and we'll continue fighting, and we won't give up. And we will have our day in the sunshine every now and again, because not all the time can the big nasty beast always win. Sometimes we'll get the better of it, and we'll have our say, and when we do, we'll have a good party about it when we do. And that's exactly what encapsulates Klopp's time. And it just, I think that's what made it so much of a connection with the people. And the references obviously with Shankly is something that I can't personally.
Hello there. Have you ever found yourself getting ready to watch the Liverpool match? You've got your mates round, you've got your drinks, you've got your snacks, you're all set to go. It's going to be a good day. And then you find out, oh, the game's not actually being broadcast in your region. There's the heartbreak, there's rage, there's despair, there's fury. You're upset. You're looking for a solution. Well, we've teamed up with NordVPN to bring you a game-changing solution. That's right. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country where the game's on live. It's like having a global ticket to sports, TV shows, and movies from all around the world. And here's the best part. If you go to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index, you'll score the best discount on your NordVPN plan. Plus, our link gives you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. And that's what we call a winning streak. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if it's not for me? What if I don't like it? What if I'm not getting the use of it? Don't worry about it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. I've been using NordVPN to catch all the Liverpool matches and TV shows that I'd normally miss out on. It's totally transformed both my weekends and my TV watching. And not only that, not only does it give me access to stuff from all around the world with the click of a button, it keeps all my data safe. It means that the miscreants, the ne'er-do-wells, what my grandmother would have called scallywags, who lurk on the internet to try and steal your information, can't get to your information. NordVPN keeps it safe for you. So don't let geo-restrictions bench you this season. Visit nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and make sure that you're in the game, no matter when or where it's being played. Remember, it's not just sports, it's your all-access pass to binge-worthy TV shows and blockbuster movies from all around the globe. NordVPN literally unlocks the world for you and keeps you safe from the world. So don't miss out. Head over to nordvpn.com/Anfield Index and let the fun and games begin.
Reference to, because obviously it was before my time, but people of an older generation said, he probably is the closest thing in terms of where the club were, and he elevated them and he took them to a level, and he went out on his own terms, but he went out with the club in the best possible hands and the best possible state that he could have left it compared to where he found it. And that's a mark and a measure of the two fellas in question. And yes, the game of football and society as a whole moved on massively since Shankly to Klopp. But at the end of the day, like, as much as we maybe aren't seeing it so much because of VAR and referees and everything else that goes on in football, where it's not so much a game anymore, it's a business on the whole. It's still 11 fellas on a pitch kicking a ball about with the goal of being, who can score the most goals at the end of the game and they win. It's very simple. A game of football often complicated by idiots, which I've said before. And Klopp like to, yes, sometimes maybe complicate it a little too much, but at the end of the day, it was very simple. He put 11 fellas on the pitch. They ran their hearts out. They worked hard. And more often than not, they often beat other teams because they were just willing to work that extra 5% harder than everyone else. And, it's just what we expect as fans and probably what he expects as a manager. And that's why the harmony was so perfect between everyone.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, it was just, I said, I was looking up, I was there the day that he was unveiled, not announced, when he was in his first press conference. And I was there for the Brendan Rodgers one. And I can remember watching the Hodgson one on TV, thankfully, because I was saying a lot of stuff at the TV that day. And it's just because, I mean, to be fair to Hodgson, I was probably going to be reluctant to welcome any manager because I wasn't happy the way that Rafa had been allowed to go, the way that the story had been twisted and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that maybe there weren't good reasons to say it's time for Rafa to move on, but I always felt that there was too much political stuff going on that forced him out, and that the way the club was being run was horrendous at the time. Hence, Roy Hodgson comes along as manager, and he was just the wrong choice. And I was gutted that Kenny got let go as well when they did that to Kenny. Although again, I could see it wasn't a perfect situation. I felt they'd pulled the trigger too early, and then to pull the trigger too early and then bring Rodgers in, I wasn't great with. But again, you'll try your hardest to welcome them in, and I tried with Rodgers, but it didn't feel comfortable. I don't know what the right word is. It just didn't feel right. But it was, open minds. Let's see how it goes. When Klopp walked in, it was like he'd always been there. It was just, it's hard to say. He just fitted in, and maybe it's that thing about him feeling like he's a local kind of person, that he's just got the right mentality straight away. He knows what it means to be not just about being a Liverpool fan, but being someone from Liverpool or being in Liverpool and being in the Northwest, being in a part of the country that's being crapped on down the years by powers that be. He didn't, he wasn't overly political. You didn't hear a lot of politics from him, but you knew quite well that he had a socialist kind of mind. It was quite obvious the way he was. Just wanted things to be fair for people, didn't he? Wanted everyone to have a chance. It was that way of being, and I've no idea what Slot's going to be like, and this is going to be the key thing. Will he fit the same way? I'm not sure, and maybe we'll not get anyone the same as Klopp again in terms of how he fits the club. Maybe we will. Maybe people said that when Shankly left, and I don't actually remember Shankly being manager, but I've heard all the stories about him, and I was there when the the follow up came with Bob Paisley and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was just the right man when he joined. I
don't think in Arne Slot, judging from the very few bits of clips and videos I've seen, I don't think we're getting a silent Arne where we got a silent Bob. Yeah, straight after Bill. But again, it's generational, and I think it might be a transition that we need where he looks like a guy who is strong enough of mind and will to voice his opinion, which we don't know what the future holds with Liverpool and with Arne Slot, and we hope it's for the best in every possible way. But if he's a guy who is of similar sorts of mindset of being able to not actually take the shit that's dished out and be willing to stand up and fight his corner for himself and for us, then I think it'll go a long way into the hearts and minds of the fan base very early if he's willing to sort of display that attitude towards what goes on in the modern game.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting thing as well is he's been given the title of head coach rather than manager. So to me, that suggests that what the club are saying is, well, I hope it's what they're saying, is that some of the stuff Klopp had to deal with, like, you've got commitments, you've got to talk to the media before a game, after a game, during a game if they can get away with it, constantly having to talk to the media. And when something bad's happening in the game or in the club or wherever else, you're the one who has to face them. And it's not always really your job to do that. I mean, it could be there's a big uproar about ticket prices or something else that's going on. And it's always Klopp that has to answer those questions if the press decide that's what they're going to talk about. And I think, especially after, like, say, what happened against Spurs and stuff, and the club put that statement out, we're going to consider our options or whatever it was we'd said. That's the time when you need someone else to come along and talk to the press, someone, take the heat away from the manager. The manager can obviously say what he thinks, or the coach, the head coach as it'll be now. But I think that's when we've got these sporting directors that, have come in now, and people like them should be getting themselves out in front there and doing a bit of talking and taking some of the heat off the manager, even if it means calling a special press conference to do it, or if it means they're going to be at the press conference just before Klopp comes in, get some questions asked and answered and out the way, and then Klopp can come in and just talk about Slot can come in and talk about the football. It's going to take a while to get used to this. Also, just notice when you're talking as well, I think I was going to try and I've sort of listened to how his name's pronounced. People are kind of saying Arne instead of Arnie and Slot instead of Slot. It's going to be Arne Slot, isn't it? I mean, for one thing, when I said Slot the other day, my missus said, "Do you mean like shallot, like the onion?" So I explained. So I can't even say it that way now without thinking onion. So it's got to be Arne Slot, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's, for people of a certain age, there's a fashionable clothing brand that was formed in Liverpool a few years ago, and it is called Arnie. And it's highly successful, very popular. They do very nice clothes, reasonable enough price. It's a huge clothing brand, but it was two lads who formed it from Liverpool, and they're going to make a hell of a killing out of it now because their name is up in lights in the red corner. But yeah, that's known locally as Arnie, because it's just the way it's obviously the dialect thing. It's how you see it and you say it, how it sort of looks to you. And you even think of players we've had throughout the years, like Alisson, for example, is just Alisson. Yeah. Where like you'd often hear commentators give it to Alisson, and or like Firmino, and you'll hear it pronounced different ways, and it's just how we see it.
I don't think I've pronounced Dominic Szoboszlai the same way twice since we got him.
I mean, yeah, and if you want to think about it, that's probably how he would probably most like it and pronounce, but like most people, it's just Szoboszlai because that's how it naturally just comes out. And I don't think he's going to get the schle of the Dutch probably pronunciation. I think it'll just be Slot, as simple as the four letters it's putting down on paper. But he might come in and he might just say like, I'd like to be approached and addressed to it in this way or manner, but unless it fits a certain way of the song, I can imagine it'll just be Arne Slot, and that'll just be how it's done and how he's given it. And he hasn't really got a leg to stand on to argue with the cop, has he?
No,
if he wants to.
I mean, I wonder how long it'll take for him to get his own like proper, fully crafted song as well. Because I mean, there's always a sort of quick, like Divock Origi has just got basically the same song we've used for loads of other players. It was a while before Klopp got the Beatles one done, wasn't it? It wasn't straight away.
There is the Saturday night one for Divock Origi,
yes,
with reference in Everton, isn't there? But yeah.
Doesn't get used as much that though, does it? I suppose it's just
it was only rolled out generally for when we played the Ev, and it still is. To be fair, his name is often sung on a regular basis when we play them.
There's so many memories, and I think maybe over the summer we'll just try and throw the odd one in as well, because if you sort of asked on the spot what's your favourite memory of Klopp, you'll come up with something. But then half an hour later, you'll think, but I should have said this and I should have said that. There's just so many. Even things like, I mean, Dua Lipa getting played straight after the game the other day, whatever it was, Sunday. Because that's, the whole thing in Kyiv when she was doing the pre-match stuff and Liverpool fans were singing their song, and that's kind of stuck with us. These are all the things that are kind of, there's loads of things like that have come with the Klopp era, and it's been a proper era. There's loads of memories. I mean, we didn't even win that night in Kyiv, but it was a game. It's like, I mean, there's that quote about, supposedly from Shanks, that wasn't, it was just made up, about, you win together, you lose together, or something like that. But it's true. I mean, on the whole, although there are some who'll always jump out the woodwork and have a real go at him, you always feel that when we lose that he's as gutted as we are, and he's as desperate as we are to find answers. And it's not because he's trying to think of saving his own arse, it's because he wants Liverpool to do well. And that's what I think, again, just sets him apart from others. It's going to be interesting to see how next season turns out. I mean, there's on Anfield Index, I did a season review show with Guy and Trev, which is out now. I think you'll need Anfield Index Pro, which you can get by going to AnfieldIndexPro.com, and you can sign up. As we say, less than the price of a cup of coffee, so it's well worth a go, especially as there's less football stuff to take your money at the moment, unless you go and buy all the new kits, which will take all of your money. There was also a series I wasn't around to do, which was sort of Auf Wiedersehen Klopp, it was called, and a few people went on that. And I was just looking at some of the questions that were going to be asked on that. And one of them is, when Klopp signed in 2015, what were your expectations? Well, for me personally, I'm not really sure what I was thinking, other than here goes, new manager. Let's just see. Well, yeah.
Because obviously it was on the back of a derby.
Oh, yeah.
But any draw with Everton always feels like a defeat. Because, they'll celebrate it like a win. And I think obviously at the time it was around October, wasn't it? We were coming off the back of a season which hadn't gone very great under Rodgers, and everyone thought and expected them to go, especially after the Stoke debacle on the final day of the season. We'd lost Gerrard. He decided, time was time, and off he went. And Sebastian knew he went to LA Galaxy, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it just sort of felt as though like the wheels were falling off, and then the engine was breaking down, and it's sort of like one of them comedy things on the TV when like the car like sort of stops, the wheels fall off, the doors fall off, and everything just sort of crumbles, and then the guy's just sat holding a steering wheel. And we weren't far away, it felt at times, from just holding the steering wheel with no car to drive. And
hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of one cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range, at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.